In today's video, we're going to do a dive into the strategy that I use to buy 17 units in a matter of 3 months. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. So you heard that right. Today we're going to dive in to the strategy that I implemented years ago to purchase my 17 unit property, and I actually discussed that in this video. And even though this video was created years ago, I still get comments and questions today asking me more details about how certain things were done. So I wanted to take this opportunity and answer a couple of questions from you guys. So without further ado, let's get started. So here is the video that I was talking about. And because I know that not everyone has seen this video before, I'm going to do a quick replay of this video just to bring everyone up to speed. Out about the deal, what I did to find the finances, and who I actually spoke to, and how I actually brought out my credit score in a period of 1 month just to qualify for the loan, and then just take it from there. And without further ado, so this is what I promised to share in the video, right? However, I know once again that not everyone has seen the video completely. So I want to do a quick recap as to how I actually did this purchase. So we talked about a 17 unit purchase, right? So this is the complex that I bought years ago. And in order to make this happen, I actually leverage multiple different strategies. And so let's say, for example, this is my complex right here. So we're just going to call this a complex. So I got all my little houses in here, right? So the way this was financed is that I needed to come up with a down payment, right? So that down payment was for 25%. And I financed the rest, right? But the issue with this breakdown, even though I was able to secure financing, was that the down payment was high for someone to come up with. The down payment was for $125,000. So I needed to find a strategy to come up with that much money, because regardless of my savings or my 401k or anything I could tap my hands into, I was still falling very short from getting that $125,000. So I got a little bit creative, and what I ended up doing was to leverage a cash out refi and business credit cards. So I combine these two, and that allowed me to gather $125,000 plus reserve funds for the purchase of my 17 unit complex. And that includes the down payment, closing costs, and reserve funds. So what exactly is a cash out refi? Well, let's find out in the video. So what a cash out refinance is, or a cash out refi, like some would call it, it's basically equity taken out of your property or any property in exchange for cash or money. So most lenders typically have a 25 to 75 LTV, loan to value. And basically what that means is that you get to keep 25% equity in your property, and the bank is willing to finance up to 75% of the total market value on that day for a loan. So let's say, for example, if your house, for simplicity purposes, is worth $100,000, what the bank is going to be willing to give you is $75,000, up to $75,000 in your as a cash out refinance. So now you know you're going to have $75,000 available for a down payment. For some type of purchases, that might be enough. But for me, I needed at least $125,000. So $75,000 wasn't really enough. And I actually took out a couple of months earlier another cash out refinance without knowing that it was actually called a cash out refinance for my first condo to purchase the second one. So I was actually running out of choices. And so what I did was to try to get engaged with more lenders to see what else could be done, maybe with the least amount of possible. So I kept the contact that Vicky gave me and actually reached out to him to see what could be done. And he was willing to do both for me, the cash out refi and also the financing of the property. Meaning I was going to have two mortgages, one for the refinance and two for the actual purchase of all of those 17 properties. So that is in essence what a cash out refi is. Now, I want to take a moment and address one question. This was a repetitive question that I kept getting over and over again. So I'm actually going to put this up in the screen and share that with everybody. And hopefully that can help the viewers who had a similar question. Can you clarify which property did you refi? The one you're purchasing? If so, how did the lender allow you to refi when you were not the owner yet? That's a very valid question and a very good one, actually. So here's how it happened. All right, so let's move on to a clean sheet. And so in the video, I made a mention about a cash out refi that I already did. And now I see why it was confusing. So the first cash out refi that I did was for a condo. And this condo was purchased in Alabama years ago. And I mentioned that I cannot do another cash out refi on this property in particular because I already did a cash out refi. So the equity that the property accumulated was already pulled out, and there was not much I could really pull out. So instead, what I needed to do was to do a cash out refi on another property. And this was also a condo, but let's just call this property number 2. So this is property number 1 and this is number 2. So that answers your first question, right? So I did not use the same condo. I used a different condo right here. And this second condo actually belonged to another investor. So I'm just going to write here another investor. So your question here is, how did I make it happen? Because my name was not in there, right? And your other question was, how did I make this deal happen? Because since the property belonged to another investor, how did I actually make it happen for me to be able to pull the equity out of this second property? It was very easy. I actually asked the lender how I can make it happen, and the lender itself gave me the instructions. So what I'm about to share you is what worked between that lender and myself. In your case, it might be a little bit different depending on your portfolio size or depending on how your lender works. So my best advice in this case is for you to ask your lender what will they require in order to make something like this happen. In my case, what the lender told me was that as long as I was a 50% owner of this property, that all was good to go. And so obviously I sat down with this investor who owned this second condo. I negotiated a deal and where I offer parts of the cash flow that I will be getting and the purchase of my 17 unit. And I also negotiated a certain percentage of interest because let's face it, no one is going to do this for free. So the investor agreed and my name was actually added to the title and I became a 50% owner. I was the owner who was active, meaning I was the person that was doing or handling all the transactions, while the other owner allowed me to use their property for the cash out refi, and I was able to obtain capital that way. And as you know, since you watched the video, I was able to close on the property that way. So this explanation addressed the part about the cash out refinance. Now, I have another question that somebody asked, and that question was related to the credit card. So let's go and watch the video just so I could bring everyone to speed in case you need a little bit of refresher, and also to help out those who haven't watched the video yet, just so that we're all on the same page. So given that I've recently opened up a bunch of credit cards a couple of months back, my score actually suffered a little bit. And so basically what happened was I was, I believe, at a 620 and my FICO score, and I needed to bring it up to at least a 750, an average of 750 with all three, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And it's just amazing how much you can learn by talking to people. You realize that the answers are always in front of you, but it was more of a matter of like putting the pieces together and be able to understand, oh, I can make something out of this, right? So I had some money in my 401k saved. I think it was $40,000 or something like that. That was exactly the amount of money that that was exactly the amount of money that I was owing on my credit cards at the time. So what I did, I took a loan in my 401k. I paid down all of my credit card debts, all within a week from my cards from being due. So I knew that I had exactly 1 week before the banks went ahead and reported to the credit bureaus. I waited 2 weeks and literally my score went from 620 all the way up to 750. And so I call the lender and I say, hey, I'm ready. You can go ahead and just run my credit because I want to make sure I can lock in the rate. And I was able to get the lowest rate possible. And then once I got that, I did the same trick I taught you guys in earlier videos. I leverage Venmo and plastic again. I also managed to open 2 new more credit cards at 0% APR. And I did the balance transfer. I pay my rent with it. And I also did the Venmo thing and I repay back that money. And voila, that's how I actually managed to repay that 401k loan back again. All right, so I talk about a bunch of different things. So I want to make sure everything is clarified. So in this strategy, I talked about a 401k, which I took out to pay my credit card debt, just so that I can bring my FICO score up. So that's one strategy. But I was left with an issue and where I still have to pay off my 401k loan. And so in this section, I was talking about how I leverage business credit cards to make it happen. I use the money from the business credit cards to pay out my 401k loan. And also I use that money to come up with the remaining down payment that was needed to cover the down payment. Why did I use business credit card? Very easy. When you use business credit cards, the debt that you accumulate over there doesn't show up in your personal FICO score, which is very, very important. And that's why I love to work with business credit. In fact, I actually use a service called Fund and Grow, and Fund and Grow actually helped me access all that capital that I needed. So if you want to find out more about them, here is a video that you can actually check out on the screen, and you can also find the link down in the description box below. Hopefully that helps you. Now, back up to this episode. So why am I bringing this up, right? The whole issue with the credit card. I'm bringing this up because there was another question, one that was actually very popular. So I'm kind of hoping that by addressing this question, most of you will get the answer that you were seeking for, since the comment was actually very similar. So credit cards, after promotional period, normally 18 months, the remaining credit card balances due could be at 24% interest. And it will create a sizable additional monthly expense unless cash flow exists to pay the card's usage. I agree with you 100%. In this case, you have 2 choices, right? One is to proceed as you suggested, and that is to use the cash flow to pay the credit card debt that you have at 24%. That is kind of like the easiest way, so to speak, in terms of transactions, because you don't really have to do much. However, it's one of the most painful ones because this 24% interest rate in that credit card will most likely eat up all of your cash flow. So what I decided to do, keeping the whole promotional event expiring at some point in mind, what I decided to do was to mark my calendar for the right timeline to apply for another business credit card in the future. So let's say, for example, since this viewer mentioned 18 months, meaning the expiration on that 0% credit card will expire in 18 months, I will set a reminder for myself to apply for a new credit card somewhere around 16 months, right? So after 16 months of getting that new credit card, I will possibly be able to bring my credit score up, and you know the story, and then be able to apply for a new credit card, and hopefully I will get a new balance transfer offer at 0%. So with the debt that it's remaining in that credit card at 24%, I will proceed and do a balance transfer into this new credit card and continue to enjoy that debt at 0% and use my cash flow to pay off that debt at a 0% interest. Now, with this strategy, I've gotten some follow-up questions, and that is, why would I do that if balance transfers require me to pay a certain fee? Yes, you are right on that. Yes, banks will require you to pay a certain fee because they're not going to do this for free. However, I want you to think long-term. When you do a balance transfer from one card to the other, you're paying that fee one time, versus paying 24% interest on that debt for the remaining couple of months or years, whichever length you will take to pay that off. So when you compare that one flat fee that you pay one time in the beginning versus all that interest that you could be paying along the life of the debt, I'm pretty sure that the one-time fee will be way much cheaper for you than paying interest long term. And the beauty about that flat fee that you're paying on that balance transfer, that's deductible from your taxes because you're running this entire portfolio as a business. At least I am doing it as a business, and therefore I get to enjoy business tax deductions. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you check the original video so that you can learn all about the strategy. And for those who have already seen it, feel free to watch it again if you like. And thank you so much for your comments.